Welcome to Planet Pulse, where the world's secrets, stories, and wonders come alive. Let's dive into the heartbeat of our planet. The world is full of mysteries. Some are hidden in ancient tombs, others in forgotten texts. But some of the biggest puzzles are lurking right beneath the waves, in the vast, dark expanse of our oceans. We think we know what's down there, but every so often, something happens that reminds us just how little we understand. This story begins in 2003, off the coast of Australia. A team of scientists tagged a 9-foot great white shark for a research project. They wanted to track its movements and learn about its habits. The tag would record data like depth and water temperature, giving them a window into the shark's secret life. For a few months, everything went according to plan. The shark swam, the tag recorded, and the scientists gathered their precious information. Then, something completely unexpected happened. 4 months into the study, the tag washed ashore on a beach. When the researchers recovered it and downloaded the data, they found a story that defied all logic. The tag revealed a sudden, terrifying event. The shark had plunged deep into the ocean, diving nearly 2,000 feet in a matter of seconds. This was not normal behavior for a great white. It was a panicked, desperate dive. The data also showed a rapid, dramatic increase in temperature. The shark had gone from the cold depths to something much, much warmer. The temperature spike suggested only one thing: the shark had been eaten. But what could possibly eat a 9-foot great white shark? The evidence painted a chilling picture. The temperature recorded by the tag, a scorching 78 degrees Fahrenheit, matched the internal temperature of a much larger predator. The sudden deep dive was a clear sign of a struggle. The shark was not hunting, it was being hunted. It was trying to escape, but its attacker was relentless. For 8 days, the tag remained inside the belly of this unknown creature, recording its movements before finally being expelled and floating to the surface. The scientific community was stunned. A 9-foot great white is an apex predator at the very top of the food chain. The idea that something bigger and more powerful was out there, capable of swallowing it whole, was a truly unsettling thought. This single event opened up a Pandora's box of questions. The mystery wasn't just about what killed this one shark. It was about what else could be living in the unexplored depths of our oceans. Australia's waters are known for their incredible biodiversity, but this was something else entirely. The data was irrefutable, yet the conclusion seemed impossible. Experts had no easy answers. An even larger great white. Possible, but the behavior didn't quite fit. A pod of orcas. They are known to hunt great whites, but the temperature data was a sticking point. The mystery of the bitten shark became a modern sea legend, a stark reminder that the ocean's darkest corners still hold secrets we are not prepared for. The story of the devoured great white is not an isolated incident. The waters around Australia seem to be a hotspot for high strangeness, a place where the line between science and legend gets blurry. Another famous case that continues to puzzle researchers is that of Shark Alpha. This was another great white, a massive female, also tagged for a study. Her tag also showed bizarre and inexplicable behavior. She was a dominant predator in her territory, but one day she suddenly fled the area. She traveled a great distance at high speed, as if she were running for her life. This was completely out of character for an established alpha shark. Something had scared her away. What could possibly intimidate a massive, dominant great white shark? Scientists who studied the data were baffled. There were no signs of a natural event like a storm or an underwater volcano that could have caused such a panic. It seemed to be a reaction to another creature, something that Shark Alpha perceived as a threat so great that her only option was to abandon her home and flee. This incident, combined with the story of the shark that was eaten, points to the existence of a super predator, an animal so large and powerful that even the ocean's most feared hunters become its prey. These events force us to reconsider the established food chain. The mysteries don't stop with sharks. In 2015, a series of mass pilot whale beachings occurred along the coast of Western Australia. Hundreds of whales would suddenly swim ashore, a behavior that scientists call cetacean stranding. While beachings can sometimes be explained by illness, disorientation from naval sonar, or navigational errors, these events were different. Survivors who were pushed back out to sea would often turn around and beach themselves again. It was as if they were trying to escape something in the water, something so terrifying that they would rather face certain death on land than remain in the ocean. Local witnesses and rescue volunteers described the whales' behavior as panicked and desperate. These strange occurrences, the eaten shark, the fleeing alpha, the terrified whales, all seem to tell a similar story. They hint at an unseen force in the waters off Australia. Could they all be connected? Are these separate, unrelated tragedies, or are they different symptoms of the same underlying cause? The ocean is a vast and three-dimensional world, most of which remains completely unexplored. It's easy to dismiss these stories as anomalies or to force conventional explanations that don't quite fit. But when you look at them together, a pattern emerges. It's a pattern of fear, of apex predators becoming prey, and of a mystery that is as deep and dark as the ocean itself. So, what is going on down there? When faced with evidence of a creature that can swallow a 9-foot shark, the imagination naturally runs wild. The most exciting and controversial theory is that we are dealing with a surviving prehistoric marine reptile. Think of something like a mosasaur or a pliosaur. These were real-life sea monsters, massive aquatic lizards that dominated the oceans millions of years ago. They were larger and more powerful than any great white shark. While science tells us they went extinct with the dinosaurs, the ocean is the one place on Earth where something ancient could potentially survive, hidden from our view in the crushing depths of the abyssal zone. Another candidate from the pages of history is the megalodon. This was a colossal shark that could reach lengths of over 60 feet. It was the largest predator the world has ever known, and it hunted whales for a living. Officially, Megalodon died out over 3 million years ago. However, sensational stories and dubious videos occasionally surface, claiming to show evidence of its survival. Could a population of these giant sharks have survived in the deep ocean, adapting to a new environment and a different food source? It's a tantalizing thought. A megalodon would certainly be capable of making a meal out of a modern great white shark. It fits the profile of a super predator perfectly. Of course, we have to consider more grounded scientific explanations. One leading theory for the eaten shark is simply a much larger great white. Cannibalism is not unheard of among sharks, and a truly gigantic 20-foot female could potentially overpower and consume a smaller 9-foot male. This explanation is plausible and stays within the realm of known biology. Another possibility is a colossal squid. These creatures are real, living in the deep ocean. While they are known prey for sperm whales, we know very little about their maximum size or their behavior. Could a giant squid be aggressive enough to attack and kill a great white shark? It seems unlikely, but in the deep ocean, the rules we know might not apply. Ultimately, we are left with more questions than answers. Each theory has its strengths and weaknesses. The idea of a surviving megalodon or mosasaur is thrilling, but lacks any hard evidence. The giant great white theory is scientifically sound, but perhaps less compelling than the idea of a true sea monster. The mystery forces us to confront the limits of our knowledge. We've mapped the surface of Mars more accurately than we've mapped our own ocean floor. Down there, in the perpetual darkness, anything is possible. Until we have a body, a clear video, or some other irrefutable proof, the identity of Australia's super predator will remain one of the greatest unsolved mysteries of the natural world. The ocean holds more than just biological mysteries. On March 8, 2014, it became the site of one of the most baffling aviation disasters in history. Malaysia Airlines Flight 370, a Boeing 777 with 239 people on board, took off from Kuala Lumpur, bound for Beijing. The flight began as a routine, uneventful journey. The plane reached its cruising altitude, and the pilots made their last radio contact with Malaysian air traffic control. The final words were calm and professional. "Good night, Malaysian 370. Shortly after, the plane's transponder, which communicates its identity and position, was switched off. the plane vanished from civilian radar screens. What happened next is a sequence of events that has puzzled investigators for years. Although it was invisible to civilian radar, military radar tracked the plane making a sharp, deliberate turn back towards the Malaysian peninsula. It then flew across the peninsula and out over the Andaman Sea. After that, it disappeared from military radar as well. However, the plane's satellite communication system continued to operate for several more hours. It sent a series of automatic pings to a satellite high above the Indian Ocean. These pings didn't contain location data, but by analyzing them, experts were able to determine a crucial piece of information. The plane had continued to fly for at least 6 hours after its last known contact. Based on these satellite pings, investigators defined a massive search area in the remote southern Indian Ocean, one of the most inhospitable and unexplored parts of the planet. The search became the largest and most expensive in aviation history, involving dozens of ships, aircraft, and submarines from multiple countries. For years, they scoured a vast arc of the ocean floor, but they found nothing. The main body of the aircraft was never located. The only physical evidence that has ever been found is a few pieces of debris, including a flaperon, that washed ashore on the coasts of Africa and islands in the Indian Ocean, confirming that the plane did indeed go down somewhere in that vast expanse of water. The lack of evidence has led to a flood of theories, none of which can be proven. Was it a catastrophic mechanical failure that disabled the crew and communication systems, leaving the plane to fly on autopilot until it ran out of fuel? Was it a deliberate act by one of the pilots, a case of mass murder-suicide? Was it a hijacking, an attempt to take the plane to a secret location that went horribly wrong? Or was it something else entirely? Something even more bizarre. Every theory has holes. The deliberate turn and shutdown of communications suggest human intervention, but the lack of any demands or claims makes a hijacking seem unlikely. To this day, the fate of MH370 and the 239 souls on board remains a profound and heartbreaking mystery. From the depths of the ocean, we now turn our gaze to the sky and to a mystery that touches upon our greatest fears. This story takes place during the Cold War, a time of high tension between the United States and the Soviet Union. The United States had a vast arsenal of nuclear missiles hidden in underground silos across the country, ready to launch at a moment's notice. Malmstrom Air Force Base in Montana was one such place. It was home to dozens of Minuteman nuclear missiles, some of the most powerful weapons ever created by humankind. The men stationed there held the fate of the world in their hands. They were highly trained, disciplined, and prepared for anything, or so they thought. On the night of March 24th, 1967, something extraordinary happened. Several security guards at different missile launch sites, miles apart from each other, began reporting strange lights in the sky. They described a large, silent, glowing red object maneuvering above the sensitive nuclear facilities. At first, the reports were met with skepticism by the command staff underground. Lights in the sky could be anything: planes, helicopters, even stars. But the reports kept coming in, and they were all describing the same thing. The object was not behaving like any known aircraft. It moved with incredible speed, stopped instantly, and hovered silently over the launch control centers. Suddenly, the situation escalated from a strange sighting to a national security crisis. As the UFO hovered overhead, the missiles began to shut down. One by one, 10 Minuteman missiles went into a no-go status, rendering them inoperable. Alarms blared through the underground launch capsules. The launch officers were frantic. These were sophisticated, hardened systems, designed to withstand the shock of a nearby nuclear blast. They had multiple redundant systems and independent power sources. The idea that an entire flight of 10 missiles could all fail simultaneously was considered a technical impossibility. Yet, it was happening right before their eyes. The base was thrown into chaos. Maintenance crews were dispatched, and the launch officers struggled to understand what was happening. They ran through their checklists, but nothing worked. The missiles were completely offline. Then, just as suddenly as it had appeared, the object in the sky shot away at an impossible speed and vanished. Once it was gone, the missiles remained in their no-go state. It took hours of work for the maintenance teams to bring them back online. The official investigation that followed could find no logical explanation for the simultaneous shutdown. The incident was classified, and the men involved were ordered never to speak of it. But the story eventually came out, told by the very officers who were there that night. The Malmstrom incident is not an isolated case. In fact, it's part of a well-documented pattern of UFO sightings over and near nuclear weapons facilities, both in the United States and in other countries. For decades, military personnel, from security guards to high-ranking officers, have reported encounters with unidentified aerial phenomena around nuclear bases, storage depots, and testing sites. These are not civilians mistaking weather balloons for alien craft. These are trained observers, people whose job it is to know what belongs in the sky and what doesn't. Their testimony is often backed up by radar data and, in some cases, physical evidence. The consistent theme in many of these reports is that the objects display a clear interest in our nuclear technology. In some cases, like at Malmstrom, they have demonstrated the ability to interact with it, even disable it. There are other accounts from the Cold War era of UFOs reportedly activating the launch sequence of missiles, only to shut them down again before they could launch. This has led some researchers and former military officials to a startling conclusion that someone, or something, is monitoring our nuclear capabilities. And not just monitoring them, but sending a message that they can control our most powerful and destructive weapons at will. This raises a profound and deeply unsettling question. Who is at the controls? The most popular and controversial theory is, of course, the extraterrestrial hypothesis. This idea suggests that we are being visited by intelligent beings from another world. In this scenario, they are not here for conquest, but perhaps for observation. They may see our development of nuclear weapons as a critical and dangerous step in our evolution as a species. Disabling missiles could be a warning, a demonstration of their superior technology, and a plea for us to step back from the brink of self-annihilation. It's a hopeful thought in a way, the idea of a galactic guardian looking out for us. Naturally, there are more terrestrial explanations. Some suggest these UFOs could be super advanced, secret military aircraft belonging to another country, like Russia or China. This is the secret drone or spy plane theory. However, the flight characteristics reported, silent hovering, right-angle turns, and instantaneous acceleration to hypersonic speeds, go far beyond any publicly known technology, even today. The United States Air Force's official position for many years was that the sightings were misidentified natural phenomena or conventional aircraft. But for the men who were there, who saw their nuclear missiles shut down by an unknown force, those explanations have never been enough. The truth, whatever it is, remains hidden behind a wall of official secrecy. Our final mystery takes us from the cutting edge of technology to the heart of American folklore. Deep in the sprawling, misty forests of southern New Jersey lies a region known as the Pine Barrens. It's a vast wilderness of pine trees, sandy soil, and cedar swamps. For over 250 years, these woods have been haunted by a legend, a creature so famous it has become the state's official demon. I'm talking about the Jersey Devil. The story begins in the 18th century with a woman known as Mother Leeds. The legend says she already had 12 children and was frustrated to learn she was pregnant with a 13th. In a moment of despair, she cursed the unborn child, crying out, "Let this one be the devil." According to the tale, on a dark and stormy night, Mother Leeds gave birth. The child was born seemingly normal, but within moments, it began to transform. It grew leathery, bat-like wings. Its head became like that of a horse, with glowing red eyes. It grew long claws on its hands and feet, and a forked tail sprouted from its back. The creature let out a terrifying high-pitched scream, then attacked its own family before flying up the chimney and disappearing into the darkness of the Pine Barrens. From that day forward, the woods were no longer safe. The creature, now known as the Leeds Devil or the Jersey Devil, was said to roam the forests and swamps, terrorizing anyone unlucky enough to cross its path. For centuries, the story was passed down as a local ghost story, a cautionary tale to keep children out of the woods at night. But then, in the early 20th century, something changed. the legend exploded into reality. During one incredible week in January 1909, the Jersey Devil went on a rampage across the Delaware Valley. Thousands of people from dozens of towns reported seeing the creature. It was seen walking on rooftops in Bristol, Pennsylvania, and attacking a trolley car in Haddon Heights, New Jersey. Schools closed, factories shut down, and terrified residents barricaded themselves in their homes. The police were inundated with reports, and armed posses went out hunting for the monster. The descriptions from that week were remarkably consistent. Witnesses described a flying creature with a head like a horse or a ram, long wings, and an unearthly shriek. Strange cloven hoof prints were found in the snow, on the ground, and even on rooftops. These tracks baffled everyone. They would start in the middle of a field and end just as abruptly, as if the creature had dropped from the sky and then taken off again. Despite the widespread panic and the thousands of witnesses, the creature was never caught. After that one terrifying week, the sightings died down, and the Jersey Devil retreated back into the realm of legend, leaving a permanent mark on the psyche of the region. Even after the sensational events of 1909, the story of the Jersey Devil never truly went away. It became woven into the cultural fabric of South Jersey. For the people who live in and around the Pine Barrens, the creature is more than just a myth. It's a local celebrity, a mascot, and a genuine boogeyman. Sightings have continued sporadically over the decades, right up to the present day. People hiking in the woods report hearing strange, blood-curdling screams. Drivers on the lonely roads that cut through the pines have seen a large winged figure dart in front of their headlights. The legend is kept alive by these modern encounters, passed from one generation to the next. Skeptics, of course, have offered plenty of logical explanations. The most common theory is that the original sightings were misidentifications of known animals. The sandhill crane, for example, is a large bird with a long neck and a startling rattling call. It's possible that a frightened person, primed by local folklore, could mistake a crane glimpsed in the dark for a monster. Other suggestions include owls, herons, or even escaped exotic animals. The strange tracks found in 1909 have been explained as a hoax, a series of clever pranks designed to capitalize on the growing hysteria. These explanations are rational, but they don't fully account for the sheer number and consistency of the reports from that week. The origin story of Mother Leeds itself might be rooted in historical reality. There was a real family named Leeds in the area in the 18th century, and one of the patriarchs, Daniel Leeds, was involved in political and religious disputes. His family crest included creatures that resembled wyverns, which are winged, dragon-like beasts. Some historians believe that his political enemies used this imagery, combined with local superstitions, to create a smear campaign against him. The story of the Leeds Devil may have started as a political attack that grew over time into a full-blown monster legend. This explains the origin of the story, but not the sightings themselves. Whether it's a real creature, a case of mass hysteria, or a long-lived folktale, the Jersey Devil endures because it represents the wildness of the Pine Barrens. It is a symbol of the unknown that lurks just beyond the neatly trimmed lawns of suburbia. The forest is a place that has resisted complete taming, and the devil is its guardian spirit. It reminds us that even in one of the most densely populated states in America, there are still dark, unexplored corners where ancient fears can take flight. The whispers in the pines continue, and as long as they do, the hunt for the Jersey Devil will never truly be over. From the darkest depths of the ocean to the skies above our most secret military bases, and into the heart of our oldest forests, these mysteries share a common thread. They represent the edges of our map, the places where knowledge ends and speculation begins. The story of the shark eaten by an unknown behemoth challenges our understanding of the natural world. It suggests that our planet still holds biological secrets so profound that they sound like fiction. It's a humbling reminder that we are not the undisputed masters of this world. There are still giants in the sea, and we know almost nothing about them. The vanishing of Flight MH370 is a different kind of mystery, one born from our own technology. In an age where we are constantly connected, where every move can be tracked, The idea that a 200-ton aircraft and 239 people can simply disappear is terrifying. It exposes the fragility of the systems we rely on. The lack of answers is a source of immense pain for the families of those lost, and a source of endless fascination for the rest of us. It's a puzzle with too many missing pieces, and each new theory only seems to deepen the enigma. It shows that despite all our advancements, the world can still swallow our creations without a trace. The UFO incident at Malmstrom Air Force Base forces us to confront perhaps the biggest question of all. Are we alone in the universe? When credible witnesses, trained military officers, report that an unknown craft disabled their nuclear weapons, we have to listen. It's a story that blurs the line between science fiction and national security. It pushes us to consider possibilities that are both frightening and wonderful. The idea of an extraterrestrial intelligence taking an interest in our affairs is one of the most profound concepts we can contemplate, and incidents like Malmstrom give that idea a chilling sense of reality. In the end, we are drawn to these stories because they ignite our curiosity and sense of wonder. The Jersey Devil, the vanished flight, the nuclear UFO, the deep-sea predator. They all remind us that the world is a far more mysterious and exciting place than it often seems. They challenge our assumptions and push the boundaries of our understanding. They prove that there are still dragons on the map and monsters in the shadows. And for an explorer, that is the most exciting thought of all. The quest for answers is what drives us forward, into the unknown. The journey is the destination, and the mystery is the real treasure.